Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching, much appreciated. So today we're going to be taking a look at Bootstrap 5, and just some of the new features that Bootstrap 5 offers. My last video we did a heavily intensive coding video, and so this one I just wanted to take a quick look just to give you some inspiration, some quick ideas of the things that you can use. I still use Bootstrap on a regular basis, maybe not with every project, but I definitely use it, and there's a lot of cool changes. If you're at all familiar with Bootstrap, especially Bootstrap 4, you know that there were some things that could have been improved, and I think that they did that. So we're going to take a look at those. We're going to go over. I'm not really going to be doing any coding here, but we're going to be taking a look at some things that you could possibly incorporate in your next project, and take a look and see how how effective Bootstrap can be for you. All right, so let's get started. Thanks. Okay guys, so the first thing that I wanted to bring up, first couple of things. First thing, number one, that we should all celebrate is that Bootstrap no longer supports Internet Explorer. Okay, can we get a can we get an applause for that? I mean, obviously Internet Explorer has not been relevant for many years now, and finally Bootstrap has taken the initiative and eliminated it from their support system. And so you not that you don't have to calculate it into your CSS, but they are not keeping it in their support system. Okay, so that's number one. We got a couple of new features here that I want to go over, but I think we can all appreciate that. So our real official number one is jQuery. Basically, Bootstrap will no longer be using the jQuery library. The development team has instead improved the JavaScript library to effect this change. The jQuery dependency wasn't necessarily a bad thing in Bootstrap necessarily. In fact, the introduction of jQuery radically changed how JavaScript was used. It simplified writing tasks in JavaScript that would otherwise have been taken many lines of code. But despite all this, the team has decided to do away with it anyway. This comes with the benefit of smaller source files and higher page load times. This was a much needed change, which will see Bootstrap gain a more future-friendly style. So basically, with Bootstrap 5, you don't need to import the jQuery library anymore. So if we take a look here at the documentation under Get Started, it's still the same CSS CDN link here, pretty much the same, very similar. But when it comes to JS or JavaScript, it's just one script file. One script source. There's no importing the jQuery library anymore. It's just one line, and that's it. And I think that helps not only in your main index.html file, but it also helps to not have to carry around the weight of the jQuery library. So that's definitely one of the main aspects of it that is super helpful to developers, as well as when you don't need to incorporate jQuery into your React application by importing it. You can simply import Bootstrap. So number one, jQuery no longer needed for Bootstrap. Okay. Okay, so our next new feature of Bootstrap 5 is CSS custom properties, which is really pretty cool and something that I definitely will be using myself. So basically, it's the ability to use root variables in general, but by dropping Internet Explorer support, custom CSS properties or variables can be used. Internet Explorer doesn't support custom properties, just one reason why it held back web developers for a long time. CSS custom properties make CSS more flexible and programmable. CSS variables are prefixed with a -bs to prevent conflict with third-party CSS. So it's a really nice feature and something that you can just easily apply to different variables. So not only can you use Bootstrap classes to apply style, you can also create your own CSS files that are custom and include these predetermined Bootstrap CSS colors, etc. Excuse me, there are two types of variables available: root variables, which you see here, and component variables. Root variables can be accessed wherever Bootstrap CSS is loaded. These variables are located in the root.scss file, _root.scss file, and are part of the compiled dist folders. Component variables, on the other hand, are used as local variables in particular components. They are helpful to avoid accidental inheritance of styles in components like nested tables. Very nice. As you can see, _root.scss, component variables. Here's an example. Here's the -bs font, sans serif, and then for your anchor tags, your color, your variable is --blue, bs-blue, which is this blue color here. Very cool, very streamlined, very sleek, and minimalistic. Okay, great. Okay, guys, and so talking about the new Bootstrap 5, we have a new improved grid system. Now, don't be mistaken, there's not a ton of painfully obvious changes and upgrades to the grid system, but it is worth noting since the grid system is so important to Bootstrap and CSS in general. So because there were some issues upgrading from version 3 to 4, Bootstrap 5 retains the bulk of the system this time, building upon the existing system instead of completely changing it. Some of the changes they include the gutter class or .gutter has been replaced to a utility.g asterisk, much like the margin and padding. We also have vertical spacing classes have also been included, meaning you can space vertically instead of just horizontally. Columns are no longer defaulted to positive position, of relative. So just going through here, so as you can see, a lot of it is similar. Rows, grid options, the sizes. Here's our gutter width, the size of it. There's a lot of, as you can see right here, if you want space on the side, that's the gutter. You can set that customly. Just a lot of different options coming up, and it's definitely not a big change, but it's definitely something worth mentioning. Okay, and our next new feature is the Bootstrap 5 Utilities API. Following new CSS libraries like Tailwind CSS, Bootstrap is now also adding a utility library. The Bootstrap team says that they are happy to see how other developers, and I'm getting this directly from Bootstrap, mind you, they're happy to see how other developers are challenging the way we've built the web for the last decade. So that comes directly from Bootstrap, and I think it speaks loudly as to what sort of features they're offering us. I mean, the utilities, whereas before was through a very slow process, now is available through an API. I mean, and as you know, if you've worked with React or anything similar, Angular, you know how accessible and how popular APIs are currently. So utilities are gaining momentum in the development community, and the Bootstrap team has taken notice. The team had earlier added provisions for utilities in version 4 using global variable enable classes, but in version 5 they have changed to an API approach and a new language and syntax in Sass. This will give you the power to create new utilities while still being able to remove or modify the defaults given, which is very nice. As a way to give better organization, some of the utilities that were in version 4 have been moved to the helper section. So as we can see here, a lot of these utilities are available through the API now, which is very nice, very fast, very convenient. You know, all these things here. Okay. Okay guys, and the last thing that I want to talk about is the new Bootstrap icons. These are freaking awesome, and I use them on a regular basis with most of my projects. I try to incorporate them somehow. I just think they're great, and they're certainly the popular thing of the time. I think 2010s and 2020s will be rife with icons. It's just the current trend right now, and Bootstrap really has embraced that. Bootstrap now boasts its open source SVG icon library with over 1,300 icons. Yeah, 1,300 icons. It is custom made for the framework's components, but you can still work with them on any project given that they are SVG images. They can quickly scale and can be implemented in many ways, and also style with CSS. I mean, it's great. Okay guys, so I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you sticking with me through the video, and hopefully it just gave you some ideas of how to use Bootstrap going forward. Bootstrap 5, you know, say what you will about Bootstrap, it's still a viable source for CSS, especially for people who don't feel comfortable with vanilla CSS. It's definitely something to check out, and hopefully this video gave you some ideas of how to pursue it. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe and like this video. If you have any follow-up questions, please leave them in the comments below. Alright guys, thanks so much. Take care. Bye.